I wish give this my right to the Berkeley physics because it is of the most importance. I read it and excuse me if my pronunciation is what is. I will try to explain to Berkeley physics and in the easiest way I am able the because of the physics that I called Amodeo. It happened because my research quantifies the unit in different values than those inferred by observations. All the measurement quantities, in my confirmed opinion, contain an interference that is due to the same measurement process unitary. In fact, when each unit of the whole real existence is defined, made by 10 pieces, its unit is 10/10. But when we assume 1 real tenth of it, to take the measurement of it, through its real quantity 1/10, we can only count the remaining 9/10. The unit of 10/10 is divided in the 9:1 ratio, and 9 parts form the numerator, while 1 real part is defined to be its real denominator. The physics in the late century decided that the length unit of mass, space and time should have existence in the same cycle of 10/10. It was the first general relativity introduced in physics, and it is valid till today, with the kilogram, the second, minute, and the meter, which were established precisely from this general relativity between each unit and its total dynamic cycle. Therefore, Amodeo physics starts from this general condition, in which there are the fundamental units of the MKS system of meter, kilogram, and second, and afterward of all the derived of the international system of pounds and measurement, the C. Amodeo put in action, therefore, a theoretical research, all based on the deductive process of when, from a fundamental law, which contains the certainty of the quantity, as that of 10/10 equal 1, the internal its relations are discovered and have the same certainty. All the units of the Amodeo physics are consequently calculated through 10 pure dynamics units in tenth, since each dimension, different in its shape, like space, time, mass, etc., has the same 10 dynamics quantities as a presence unitary cycle, which has the unitary speed in line 10/1. The ratio 10/1 considers as space the numerator, and as time the denominator. The denominator 1 is really a time unit, as it is 1/10, while the inverse value, 10 to 1, is space. Being poor numbers, which have entrusted only to the numerator the definition of space, and to the denominator the definition of the time, we can add up the space to the time by adding 10 plus 1, numerator plus denominator. In this ideal way, we can take this one by the ideal consideration of the unit of it, and not by a real quantity in the nature. In fact, 10 is considered as a pure number and not as a real object. It is the same as adding 1/10 to 10/10, which gets 11 units in the numerator, and its units are given by tenths. With 11, essentially, we have 0, 1 plus 1, 0, the two possible actions of reading of the same quantity, 0, 1, from the right and from the left. Its transcendental reading, placed in the future time. This is within the third basic principle of the dynamic love, called the action as reading 0, 1, and equal and opposite action as reading it 1, 0. The cycle 10 has, therefore, its transcendent value. It really transcends the unit in the two digits of 0, 1, when we want to express in the two dimensions one of the cycle of 10 and the other of the cycle of the unit. This immediately leads to sensational results. 11 expresses the whole dynamic of a complex movement in positive and negative in every line of advancement. So we have plus 11x plus 11y plus 11z in the positive increasing of the light, and minus 11x, minus 11x, and minus 11z in the negative going back of the magnetism. Going from minus 33 in magnetism to plus 33 in light, 66 is the total energy of electromagnetism, which was 66 and other, through the real measurement of Planck at 10 raised to minus 35 joule multiplied by second. The two visions of Newtonian mechanics and the one that led to its modification to describe the electromagnetism phenomenon defined only after Maxwell equations, are beautifully overridden by the Amodeo physics through a neutral and plurally quantitative ideal approach. The unitary energy of Planck, next to 66 in the size of 10 raised to minus 35 joule multiplied by second, obviously are influenced by the real and not ideal measurement, while Planck could not draw on units that were not in the cycle 10 of the general presence. I, Amodeo, and my physics can take 0,1 from the future time, in way that joule multiplied by second is really 1 joule existing in the future time, represented by the multiplication joule multiplied second, which is not the joule every second of a presence, but advancing in 1 second minute of future time. In our reality of presence, we cannot take anything that is not yet present, but only future. The Amodeo physics, being ideal, can do it. How Barack Obama said, "I can." So, while in the presence of 10 units, only 9 is the invariant numbers of the decimal system of the units, Mr. Einstein affirmed the light invariance of the light, and it was got by a real measurement in the vacuum, and it contained the same unitary mistake introduced by the unitary system of real measurements, which cannot assume the unitary time from the future, and consequently the presence result always different from the truth. Sometimes it show itself less, other time more. The amassing is a negative space. It is a -9 from the total 10, which reduces to +1 the mass presence. By consequence, a -9 in space less something is a minus and other. The energy of Planck is more than 66, since it is a -66 of amassed energy, being -11 in each component line, afterward perceived +11, because it is perceived in the equivalent contrary action of the matter and the light, while the -66 action is magnetic and of antimatter. The case of the light is the exact contrary. The one is expansed of 9 in the space, so that cutting away the unit of the electromagnetic movement, 9 is reduced in the number 80.98755, etc., at the electric c-speed multiplied by the magnetic equal c-speed, and so 10 raised to 16 c2 being 10 raised to 8 c, each of the two equal c-speed. Since we have always decimal units in every unit of the physics, and since the invariance in the decimal system is always made by the 9 number, we can be sure that C2 is not 9 today only by the real mistakes introduced by the real measurement of the light. And the physics know it. No absolute condition can be obtained through a real measurement. But Mr. Einstein is considered as a prophet, a god of science, who was able to make curve what is right. So, I must fight against this false idealization. We see the curvature of the space only when the unitary part is cut away by a wrong unitary velocity that is not the 9 to 1 of the decimal invariance existing in the decimal system that we are using, but the 9 less the unit of the electromagnetism. For this reason, we lose time in the way that Maxwell quantified, in confront of what is simultaneously existing. We can establish exactly the c absolute speed. It is confirmed by the model 10 raised to 10, verified by the 10 raised to 10 angstrom in 1 meter, as the unitary movement of each unit. 10 raised to 10 divided by 10 squared is equal to 10 raised to 8, and it deduces the whole flow of the section having as a side the 10 cycle of the presence in line. Since 10 raised to 8 exists in the 3 dimensions of x, y, z, the whole flow of 10 raised to 2 is 300 millions of units made by meters. The unitary model is made by 300 millions of meters less those run by the light in 1 second. If we made the calculation, we see that they are 207,000 and 542. Analyzed properly, 207,000 and 542 is clearly to be the dynamic model of the unified electromagnetic phenomenon. In fact, 10 raised to 5 multiplied by 10 raised to 5 gets 10 raised to 10 as the totality of the electromagnetic volume, for which 2 quanta for a length of 200,000 define the 2 parameters, the electric added to the magnetic. The total mass in 1 meter is given by 1,000 units. They exist on 6 different components of space and 1 of time. That is the common denominator of the velocity 6 to 1. Therefore, we define the 7,000 meter. They are meters that consider all the components tenth of the mass of the meter in line. In fact, the kilogram is always a cubic decimeter of water at 4 degrees of temperature, even if this mass was then transferred in a champion of platinum iridium. The calculation must now relate the light component after having quantified the total mass that occupies 7,000 meters. It is given by the unit of the candela, whose number is 540. In fact, when the energy of 10 meters is of 90 meters in the total of 100 given by the action 10 meters multiplied by the equal and opposite action, always of 10 meters. 90 meters in this line, which are present in 6 lines, hold exactly 540 meters. The entire length of 200,000 meters electromagnetic, added to the length of 7,000 meters for the mass, and to the length of 540 meters for the intensity of the light unit, gets a length of 207,540 meters, which, however, must be a unitary volume, and it is when it is multiplied by the square one. But since we are defining the components of everything, we must add to 207,540 also these two, and we have so 207,542. It is thus established from physics Amodeo that the deviation from the theoretical value resulting from the needed to quantify the electromagnetic unit gapping inside 300 millions of meters in total. Now, we measure it in second minute. Is exact to do so? We have to consider that 1 second exists in the cycle of 10 seconds in line. So 10x 10y plus 10 zeta is 1/2 minute, and is exactly 1 minute if we consider also its reaction minus 10x minus 10y and minus 10 zeta. It is confirmed that 1 prime minute is the full cycle of 1 second minute. In the same time, 1,440 of prime minutes are 1 day of 24 hours, each containing 60 prime minutes. Consequently, the full cycle of the second minute carried 1,440 everyone. When we take the 300 millions of meters of the ideal calculation and subtract the sea speed measured in the reality of the vacuum, we have seen that we obtain exactly the 207,542 meters missing. And when we divide the sea speed by these disappeared meters, we have as a result 1 444.490551310 till the atomic size of the angstrom. This confirms that 4.490551310 latching in every day is placed in the future. Every 4 years we add 1 day, and a very great lot of years afterward we add another day, since one sidereal year contains 365 entire days and 360 prime minutes in 6 hours, plus 549.44 seconds minutes. Therefore, is confirmed 1440 prime minutes are as the same unitary presence of 1.444.49 etc., which exist in the electromagnetic velocity, and is the unitary cycle of the second minute. Therefore, 1 second minute existing every 1 meter is equal to the 207,542 meters apparently disappeared, but existing in the future time, since 1440 exact exists in 1 exact turn of the Earth. The remaining entire 4 will exist in 4 years, and 0.49 and so go on will exist in a lot of years to arrive to the 86,400 seconds of 1 day, being equal to 549.44 second minutes, since 4 hundredths divided for the second minutes in a year is exactly 157 years, and 0.22240 for 1.